athletes struggling with brand visibility, sponsorship, and media presence? Well, the Motorsport Sponsorship Club is here to change that. With expert guidance, strategic branding, inside knowledge, we'll help you secure lucrative sponsorship deals, help grow your social media following, and elevate your media. Transform your career both on and off track with the Motorsport Sponsorship Club, your ultimate resource for success. Race over and join the club today. motivatetraining.com.au/club for more information. Hello, crew, and welcome to the Motorsport Sponsorship Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and this week we are looking around professionalism inside of motorsports and why does it matter? We're going to uncover why professionalism is crucial for motorsport athletes who want to secure a sponsorship and build a sustainable career, don't we all? It's not just about how fast you drive, but how well you communicate, you manage your image, and you build lasting business relationships because why, Dean? Motorsport is a business. We're also going to cover actionable steps that will make sponsors view you as a valuable long-term partner. It's going to be one of those shows. I'm giving you the heads up now. Team, please raise and grab a pen and paper because there's going to be some actual tips today. But of course, if you are enjoying these shows, I really appreciate if you can race over to your listening podcast platform and leave me a review, good or bad. It's always great to hear from the fans and what you do and don't like to listen to and what else you'd like me to cover in these podcasts going forward. But professionalism, why does it matter in motorsports? Well, basically, team, it's essential. Motorsport is not just about performance on the track. It is a business where teams, your sponsors, and even your fans evaluate your ability to professionally represent brands. Professionalism instills trust, ensuring that stakeholders see you as responsible and reliable. This is crucial when they're investing resources into you. Motorsport is more than just racing. It's about creating value off the track. Sponsors expect you to promote their brand effectively, show good conduct, and help them achieve their marketing goals. You are a public representation of the sponsor's image, making professionalism integral to developing value beyond race day. Sponsorship is a business relationships. They're definitely not a handout. Sponsors expect professionalism in every aspect of the relationship, from initial meeting to deliverables. Athletes who treat sponsorship like serious business transactions, communicating well. Clearly, I can't communicate well today. I do apologize. Fulfilling their obligations and being proactive as being a standout team. So how professional are you? What do you do to showcase your professionalism to sponsors? How do you dress on your first meeting? How are you showing up to your team meetings within your team? How are you coming across on your social media? These are all the questions I want to think about. I want you to think about today during this podcast. Oh my goodness, I hope the podcast doesn't improve. For your sake, team, I do apologize. It's been a long time, hasn't it? I haven't done a podcast for a few weeks. I think like literally a few months. So again, I do apologize. Anyway, team, what does professionalism look like for an athlete? First impressions, as we know, can make or break sponsorship opportunities, whether it's meeting with potential sponsors, interacting with fans, or engaging on social media. The way you present yourself communicates volumes about your professionalism. So simple habits like punctuality, probably speaking well would be a good thing as well, dressing appropriately for events, and coming prepared for meetings demonstrated that you're serious about your career. So again, team, my question to you is, what is your presentation style? When you go to meetings, are you wearing your race suit? Hopefully not. Are you wearing a business suit? Hopefully not, depending on the sponsor that you're going to meet. And as they say, motorsport, being a business, it's all about dressing. As they say, team, when you're going for an interview, you need to dress appropriately to the business that you're attending that meeting. So if it is a corporate attire that business portrays, then that's what you need to do. If you're going to see the local tradie, then probably something a little bit more casual yet professional is important. What kind of documentations are you taking with you? Are you taking merchandise? Are you taking your sponsorship proposal with you? But again, just start to think about when you meet with somebody, even when you're on social media, what kind of look, feel, and vibe are you giving out for people to want to invest in you, to want to come and follow your journey? Number 2, team, is around communication skills that I'm clearly struggling with today. That's okay. All right. So professional communication is one of the most important skills that athletes must master. This includes being clear, respectful, and timely in emails, meeting, and social media. Sponsors notice how well you follow up after meetings. So again, team, how are you following up? What is your sales process? We covered this inside the Winning Sponsorship course. But again, if you don't already have a sales process, team, I highly recommend you have one. What is a sales process, you ask, Belinda? Is simply, it could be one flow chart, it could be 2 flow charts, it could be scripts. But basically, what is the process of when you meet someone, even before you have that meeting with a prospective sponsor? How do you get them? Once you do have that meeting, what are you talking about? What is the process after you meet with them and they've said yes? What is the process after you met with them and they've said no to coming on board with you? But please have a sales process put in place. If you need any help with that, don't hesitate to get in contact with me over at motivatetraining.com.au. All right, team. Going back to our communication skills. So how you negotiate. Do you have negotiation skills? Again, this comes back to our sales process. This is why, team, when it comes to negotiation skills, I'm not a huge fan of having the gold, bronze, and silver packages. If you know your leadway, it's important at this point of time that you know your expenses. And as I said, when it comes to securing sponsorship, you need to know what type of money you need in order to go racing. And therefore, when you need to negotiate, if someone says, well, hey, I was actually only interested in giving you $5,000 instead of $10,000, and $10,000 was your bronze package, you need to be able to know exactly what you can offer them for $5,000. Or you need to negotiate saying, well, actually, I can guarantee you that your return on investment is going to get you $10,000 worth of exposure, and this is how. But you need to know, again, what is your sales process? What are your expenses? What are the financials around that sponsorship that you're trying to negotiate? Having some sort of scripts behind that, being able to upsell and downsell someone is really important as well. And that all falls a part of your sales strategy. So whether you respond to, and on the flip side, team, sponsors are looking for how you respond to their inquiries properly. Hopefully we are getting lots of inquiries. You might be smiling going, I don't even get any inquiries, but that should change, team, if you are successfully implementing things, well, basically that we have inside the Winning Sponsorship course. But of course, if you're getting your messaging correctly and that marketing opportunity message correctly out to those prospects. So effective communication builds your trust, it ensures that clarity, and it sets the tone for a successful partnership. So my question here under communication skills, team, is how are you communicating who you are, one, as an athlete? 2, what is your sales process? And 3, what are your sponsorship cost or packages if you're dead set on having a package, and what are your leadways with that process? All right, team. So point number 3 is consistency. Unlike me, who I just expressed that I haven't done a podcast in a few months, but life got in the way, and I have kids, and if you've been following me on Instagram stories, they've been the bearer of my Essex, but that's fine. I love them. All right, team. So consistency and branding. So a polished and consistent brand across your social media, website, and public appearances shows sponsors that you're committed to maintaining a professional image. Team, I am adamant about this point. We work very closely with a lot of the athletes around about brand development. And the first thing is that once we are identified who and what we want to be known for, that is basically plastered everywhere possible, such as your bios, on your socials, on your website, any press releases. Basically, if a sponsor goes through research into you a little bit further, that story is going to be consistent about every piece of media that they pick up. So it's really important that you understand your branding and that you make it all aligned, even down to your uniforms and your logo designs, to show that you're committed to making that professional image, because your brand is your business identity. So treat it like one. Motorsport is a business, and it demonstrates to potential sponsors that you're dependable and serious about aligning with their values as well. Because if you're professional, they're professional, they are wanting to work with professional athletes. So team, what does your branding look like? If I was to go and do an audit across your websites, your socials, will it align? Is the messaging about who you are as an athlete consistent? Make sure you go and check that out on yourself. Maybe get someone, another family or friend with some fresh eyes to go have a look. Definitely, if you've been working on it for a long period of time. Team, tip number 4 is managing your finances. I've been mentioning this a few. So, Tam, I've been mentioning this one a few times already throughout this podcast, but it's really important that you know your financials. If you treat your racing career like a business, you need to be organized with your budget, your expenses, and even those boring things called taxes. Proper financial management isn't just about paying bills. It shows sponsors that you're thinking long-term and a sustainable plan in place. Sometimes sponsors do want to know, how much money did you personally invest last year within your racing? How much money did you actually spend over the last 3 years? So it's important that you have your finger on the pulse when it comes to your financials. So my question to you is, have you done a budget for this year, if you're just starting out in your race season, or for the upcoming racing season? It's important that you know your costs, again, not only for developing your packages, but also to make sure that you don't run out of money as well. We know that motorsport is expensive, and so many times I see towards the end of, especially like the race seasons, look, I'm running out of money and I need your support. Can you come on board? Team, you need to ensure that you have the financials at the beginning of the season to race the entire season, because sponsors also don't want to come on board, especially say, for example, it's a 5-round series and you've got some sponsors and they've come on, they've invested for 5 rounds and you've had to pull out after 3 rounds. It's not fair on that. That's how motorsport sponsorship gets a bad name. We need to do better by our sponsors. So I really encourage all motorsport athletes to know, can you afford to race the whole season? And if you can't, that's okay. But look around at different categories. There's so many categories, not only in Australia, but in the UK as well, where you can actually just, maybe go take a step backwards, but you can race the entire series. Because I personally, and I know a lot of you would prefer to race the whole year than not race at all. So I know you might have a grand plan of bigger and better things right now, but if that can't take place because of uncertainty with financials, then be realistic with your racing categories. If you need some help about, especially within Australia and the UK, about the pathways of different race categories, please don't hesitate, again, to get in contact with me, and I'll be happy to navigate that process with you. All right, team. Point number 5 is contracts and legal agreements. I'm always a big advocate, team, of being proactive and having your own sponsorship agreement that you can give to sponsors. Especially for those small businesses that maybe A, have never sponsored an athlete before, or B, don't have a legal team inside their corporation. But C, it comes across to being very professional if you're presenting a sponsor with that agreement. So do you have a sponsorship agreement? This is my question to you. If not, I highly recommend that you consult with a legal professional before you invest with one. I do have one available for sale, which I will put into the show links. That obviously has been developed by a motorsport actual legal professional. Nothing that I've just mocked up, don't worry, team. But of course, it's important to ensure that you're clear on your payment terms, your deliverables, your timelines. Basically, this sets out your KPIs like in any business. So what are your key performance indicators going to be inside of that agreement? And this is a great tool to have when it comes to negotiation. So we spoke earlier about having that sales strategy, and one of those tips was about your negotiation skills. And another of the challenges that I quite often get asked with motorsport athletes is that when it comes to the end of the year or end of the race season, maybe they've had a product or a service-based sponsor, and they're looking to potentially take that sponsorship up into financial, or even have that conversation. Having this agreement is a great tool to have in place, because it allows you to say, hey, actually, I've hit all of those KPIs. I stated that I was going to do X amount of social media posts, I was going to do Y amount of reporting back to you, and I was going to do Z amount of activations. And then you provide them with an actual report, whether it's an annual report, it's a biannual report, whatever you have stipulated with inside of that legal agreement. And then it's easy to negotiate going forward because, hey, it's all there in writing. And if you can show the sponsor that you have achieved all those KPIs, it's very hard for them to say, hey, well, we don't want to work with you anymore. So if you don't want to lose that sponsor, we know that it's easier to maintain a sponsor than it is to go back and we're trying to seek new sponsors. So what are you doing around a sponsorship agreement? Again, I'll put in the link to the one that I have available for sale. But of course, if that could be, I've got an athlete that actually has a sponsorship from a solicitor purely because they took the contract that I had to a local solicitor because it was in a different state, just to make sure it was all okay, and because their sponsor had some stipulations around what they exactly wanted to put into that agreement. So they did actually take it to the legal firm, and hey, the legal firm ended up coming on board with that sponsor, with that athlete. And can I tell you, from that one relationship, because it was a professional business, that legal firm has referred that athlete so many other sponsors as well, because they knew what the agreement was, they knew how professional that athlete was and what they could provide potential sponsors. And because he was able to show the solicitor, the legal firm, what they were able to do, they had belief, and then they became the legal firm became the athlete's testimonial and spoke their praises to their actual client, and was able to actually fund a whole racing season just purely off that one coincidental meeting with a legal firm that ran into being able to achieve smaller sponsors. But at the end of the day, he is on the racetrack going forward, fully funded. All right, team. So number 6, professionalism off the track. We need to build and maintain relationships as well. So many times when people think about sponsorship, they just think about motorsports related items, products and services. They also just think it's just at the track. But unfortunately, team, it is not. As we know, a lot of these relationships, especially when it comes to sponsorship and marketing opportunities, happen outside of the track. We also know that professionalism and sponsorship doesn't end once the deal is actually done. So again, what strategy, my question to you, do you have in place that once you have obtained a sponsor, how do you nurture this sponsor? How do you keep the relationship vital? How do you maintain that sponsor? What's your communication process looks like? Are you delivering on your promises? How regularly are you sending updates on your race results, your progress, new sponsors, your racing achievements? How are you keeping your sponsors engaged? And of course, how are you promoting them? So all of these things need to be considered once you actually get a yes. So again, have you got a simple flow chart? Do you have an onboarding process? These are my questions I'd like you to answer. Did you know that as a motorsport athlete, you're not just competing on the track, you're running a business? Yes, because motorsport is a business, team. Whether you realize it or not, sponsors are looking at you through the lens as a business owner. But how do you project professionalism and make sponsors see you as a worthwhile investment? We'll dive into the critical mindset shift that separates the successful athlete from the rest. You're not just an athlete, you are a brand, a business, and today I'm going to show you how to use that to your advantage. And team, really importantly, is like, how do you express your gratitude? Is it through your thank you notes? Are you sending out merchandise packs? Are you doing personal video updates? How are you continuing to build long-term, mutually beneficial partnership with that sponsor? Because we, of course, we know, because we're educated, because we've been listening to me and the Motorsport Sponsorship Podcast for a long time, that once we get that money, the process is not over. So team, how do you continue to nurture and sponsor your relationship is point number 6. Number 7, customer service mindset. So think of your sponsors, your fans, the media. They are your customers. Are you adopting a customer service mindset? Can you go, or do you go above and beyond to provide value, maintain your reputation, and stand out as an athlete who understands that every interaction matters? Are you responding? I'm just going to have some water. Are you responding, team, to every comment that's on your socials? Do you allocate time every day or every second day to do that? How are you connecting with new sponsors? How often are you connecting? Are you reaching out to new prospects? How often are you connecting with your local media to try and get yourself exposure? Again, these are my questions for you. What is your process to do that? Again, all of these processes are covered inside the Winning Sponsorship course. It's just closed now for 2024, but it will reopen in April of 2025. There is a wait list. So if you're interested in more information, I'll pop that link in today's show notes, and then you can register for more info going forward. All right. So team, so not only responding to fans' interactions, word of mouth. Fans are your biggest supporters. And so this is going to help lead with positive word of mouth and better opportunities. So what are you doing around your customer service process? Point number, what are we up to? I probably should have noted them down before I start the podcast. Sorry. So number 8 is handling setbacks professionally. So motorsport comes with its fair share of challenges, from poor race results to unexpected events. Professionalism means responding to setbacks with grace. We know social media team can get us caught, basically. So team, we know the unexpected love, dislike of social media, that everyone these days seems to have a phone in their hand. And so how you present yourself in an incident, when you come back at the track after you've had an accident on the track, these are the things that can potentially, if you are found to be disgruntled, can come back to bite you. So we are a representation of the brand, of your brand as well. So it's really important that when you have a setback, that you know in your heart and in your mind how you're going to basically deal with that. Once upon a time, like I used to love it. They used to be like the punch ups, and it brought all the drama. But if you're very well sponsored, or you're looking to get sponsored, you definitely don't want sponsors to be hitting Google and that's the first video that comes up. So just be mindful that if you're serious about your motorsport career and that you're looking for sponsorship, how you present yourself on the track as well as off the track, someone's always watching you. So just be mindful of that. I guess there is kind of a time, being a mum right now, I'm going to come across and say, just be also mindful across your social media, especially depending on what age you are. If you're at the time of your life, maybe doing a HSC, VCE, or you're a young adult, I highly recommend having 2 social media profiles. So your racing one and your private one. And again, if you're looking to become a professional race car athlete, I'd be looking to privatize your personal one and making sure that none of your friends or even your loved ones, girlfriend, has access to your professional account. And the reason being is that, again, a lot of sponsors do jump onto Google, do jump onto socials and research you. So the last thing you want them to do is to jump onto socials and see you out celebrating with beers, with vapes, or dancing, or doing something inappropriate, or just something that's not even aligned with their brand. It's important for sponsors to know who you are and what you represent, but you also want to become across professional. So keep all of that professionalism onto your racing page. Definitely on your racing page, you need to show a lot of yourself as well. But, if you're out celebrating the end of your exams, it's someone's birthday, it's your baby shower, you've just got married, you just put the good pictures up on your racing page and save all the fun ones for your personal private page. Here's my other tip for today. All right, team. So what kind of steps can we implement to become a more professional athlete? As we keep saying, and I keep preaching, that motorsport is a business. So we need to create a business mindset. So start to see yourself not just as an athlete, but as a business owner. Do you have an ABN? Do you have a separate bank account? Do you have processes put into place? Do you have a website? Do you have socials? Do you have a brand? All of these things encapsulate to being a small business owner. Professional athletes are entrepreneurs. Establish your systems for your communication, your scheduling, your finances, your personal development. And I think that's a great point, team. What are you doing for your personal development? I obviously promote education for off-track development, but I do get frustrated, team, when like the simple winning sponsorship course is $5.99, which is nothing in the scheme of the cost to go racing. Okay. But people will spend more money to invest in getting an engine rebuild or a new tire, as opposed to potentially losing weight, eating better, improving on their personal mindset, getting a media coach, investing in a sponsorship coaching. All of these other aspects that can give you that 1% to become a better driver, people struggle with. But as an exercise physiologist / personal trainer, I know that because it's been my entire life, because people generally don't want to come and see me until after they've had the heart attack. But if they came to me before they had the heart attack, they wouldn't have had the heart attack. And it's the same thing with sponsorship, that people generally only come when they have an opportunity and like, we need like $20,000 in 6 weeks. And it's like, well, we can't do that. But if you come to me 2 years ago, we could have done that. So again, team, just start to plan out, especially again, if you're wanting to be a professional in the motorsport industry. We need to set our clear goals and track your progress. So goal planning is very important. It helps you stay accountable. It demonstrates your growth, also to potential sponsors, to your fans, to your team as well. If you're a part of a team, your team boss, I assure you, wants to know, what are your plans? What are you doing to achieve your plans? Yes, they want to be a part of that journey, but they also want to know, what are you doing outside of being on the sim, being at the track, practicing to get you where you need to be. But it's really important for you to define what does success looks like for you on the track as well as off the track. And again, that could be your race results. It could be your social media engagement. It could be sponsors. But you need to know, what are you working towards? What are your goals? What are your racing achievements on and off the track? Okay. You need to show data. You need to use the data to show your progress and to continually adjust your strategies to stay aligned with what those objectives are. So what are your objectives? Why are you doing what you're doing? And how can you achieve what do you need to implement to achieve those goals going forward? And my last point, team, was, I kind of just harped on it, was to invest in your personal development. Professionalism is not static. It does require constant growth. Have you done a public speaking course? Have you looked into doing some marketing? Have you done like free training in Canva on how to improve your brand image if you're just starting out? Have you listened to more than one podcast of the Motorsport Sponsorship Podcast? I've got 163 other episodes that you can go back, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be, hopefully they're better than this one today too. But again, it's been such a long time. But I also have a free blog that comes out every week. So if you're more into reading, there's lots of information out there. But are you realistically setting out 1 to 2 hours per week for your personal development, for your off-track development? Are you? I'd love to know. Send me a message. And team, obviously that point there has been that continued self-improvement will make you a better asset to your sponsors. They want educated people, again, mechanically, engineering, but as well, why I do what I do is because I know what it takes to get to the F1. I've been following this journey. I've been born and bred into motorsport, team. As I said, I used to be an exercise physiologist. It used to always be based on race results, and that's what the teams were looking for. And then over the last 15 years, it's come to, what sponsors can you bring to a team? You're only going to get sponsors if you have a professional image brand. So what does that mean for you? How are you going on that process? And again, if you need any support, I'm here. Always. My contact details will be below, but of course you can always email Belinda@motivatetraining.com.au. But sponsors will, again, also maybe ask you, how are you investing in yourself? What else are you doing? Especially if those middle tier businesses. So we know that there's small businesses, there are local mum and dad businesses in the local mall. Then there's those medium businesses that kind of have under 500 employees. They're going to have more awareness around sponsorship. So their questions that they're going to ask you are going to be more in depth. So one of those questions may be, hey, Belinda, what are you doing to invest in yourself? Why should I invest in you? I'd love to know, how are you investing in yourself to achieve your dreams? So do you have that answer? Yes? No? Again, I'd love to know. And of course, you can do your reply on social media. I'd love that. Do your video reply on social media, team. Tag at motivate_T, and let me know, what are you doing to invest in yourself going forward? All right, T. So just to recap those key points from today, I hope you got some information, some golden nuggets out of today's episode. I promise I will get better as I get back into doing more of these podcasts. I do miss them, but for those who've never done a podcast before, they do take a lot of time and energy to do, and but I do like it, so I am coming back. All right, so to wrap up, professionalism is essential for motorsport athletes who want to build long-term success, sponsorship success. From how you present yourself, manage your relationships, and handle finances, to setting up a business-minded approach, these elements will position you as a serious partner for sponsors. So team, now that you understand how professionalism can impact your career, it's time to take action. Assess where you can improve, whether it's in communication, your branding, or managing your finance. Start implementing strategies today that I mentioned today, and I'm going to recap them right in a minute. And you'll see the results in your relationship with sponsors and your overall career goals. So let's go from key takeaways. So professionalism basically is a non-negotiable. Sponsors see you as a business owner, and your professionalism determines their trust in you. What does your brand look like? Is your story, is your why consistent across all your media? How are you presenting yourself on your social media posts? How consistent are you in your social media? Do you have a newsletter? Do you have a website? Do you have processes around sales, onboarding? These are my questions for you. Number 2, present yourself well. First impressions count. So what do you look like? How do you present yourself at the track, in your team meetings, online, first meeting, workout? Are you wearing, do you have a collared shirt? Like for me, I have a non-collared shirt when I'm training motorsport athletes, but generally when I'm going to meetings or I am at the track, I do have a collared shirt. Little things. How are you consistent in your branding? Again, maybe engage someone, a family or friend, to go through all of your online media, and even if you've got A-frames, and hopefully you've got A-frames, and your hero posters. Is your story consistent? Does all your links work on your websites, in your QR codes, in your marketing, your newsletter? Strong communication is critical in making a lasting impression. So how do you want to be seen? Manage your finances and contracts. So again, treat your career like a business. Get a handle on your finances and legal agreements. Again, the link to that a legal agreement will be in today's show notes for more information. But team, work out your expenses, your finances for your race season. Even break it down if you haven't done it already, but just maybe do one race meeting coming up and going, even if it's a club day, and thinking, okay, well, if it's state-based, it's probably this much more because I have maybe more travel, more accommodation, more family members, more engineers, whatever it is. Everyone's situation is going to be different. But if you haven't already, I do highly recommend that you do at least one race meeting, but of course, set it up for your new race season going forward. Team, we need to nurture those relationships. Professionalism continues after you sign the deal. So I've already mentioned many times, what is your onboarding and what is your nurturing process after you have that new sponsor? We certainly don't want to take a check and run. So maintain and grow relationships with your sponsor. What does that look like? When are you doing your activations? How are you doing your activations? How are you reporting back to your sponsors? When are you reporting back to your sponsors? How are they making payments? Do you offer a payment solution? Is a payment via PayPal and Stripe and they can pay monthly? Or did you say, no, I just need $5,000 upfront? and then you've lost a prospect. So think about, how do you offer payment options? And of course, communicate regularly with everybody, all your key stakeholders. And most importantly, motorsport is a business. Adopt a business mindset. Invest in your personal development, hopefully with me, but if not, team, there are a lot of other motorsport industry professionals out there that I mentioned: personal trainers, media, nutritionists, driver coaches. But set your goals and track your progress. Work out what you need to get to where you want to be in this industry. Most importantly, team, have fun, but please have a plan. To plan to fail is failure to plan. And till next week's episode, there will be one next week, I promise you. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. Of course, I'd love any feedback. Please race over again and leave a review on any of those platforms. I need to get my 5 stars back up and get back into the ears as many motorsport athletes as possible. Team, of course, we do have a monthly draw. The monthly draw this month is to go into the Motorsport Sponsorship Club. If you don't know about it, it's in the ad, but of course I'll put it in today's links as well, and I hope to see you inside the club. All right, team, have a great week. See you on the track. Bye-bye.